Okay, for this video I had to use my background for my computer a little bit. So now we're gonna discuss the light source within the hilt. This will be a very high level video because there's so much to cover about LED lights, but I just want to show you the high level stuff and explain some of the terms you hear much more. So the first thing is, when you put your blade inside your hilt, you will feel resistance. That resistance comes from the LED unit. So you put your blade inside the hilt till it cannot go further, and that's actually this part here. Now this part here can be very different from any lightsaber, different materials, but most of the time it's an alloy. It's there to disperse the hot energy that comes from a light source and make it go to a bigger surface, so not one small part of the lightsaber gets super hot. It's like a heat sink in a computer, or maybe some other application you can think of, but this is a LED unit. Everything is in here, so it's just a piece, and you have holes most of the time on the bottom where the wires run out. So you have the wires running to the battery and the button to ignite the light of the lightsaber. And often it looks something like that. It's often two pieces that screws together like this. So you screw that together and you put the parts inside. What is inside? What is inside? Inside you find this. You find a LED star. This is the light source itself. This is where the light comes from. Now I know the screen is very blurry, so I'm going to show you separately. This is the part that makes it shine. This is the LED. And then we have a lens. This is the lens. This is the lens that concentrates the light in a certain angle and shines it into a direction or it needs to go to. Now this is really important, this part. It really depends on what type of LED you have, but the lens really makes or breaks the beam of the light, concentrating to one area or dispersing it. So let me show you what I mean with that. So we have pictures of three types of mainly use LED lenses here, LED units. So this is a typical Rebel LED. This is a 3-watt single die. And die is like this piece here. This is the one unit. So this is one single piece where the light comes from, like a small light source. This is a 3-watt light source. So you need to remember this. This is a 3-watt light source. This is one thing. This is one color. Just one single color. Can be blue, red, green, whatever color. One single color. Here's where the light comes from. I don't explain this part here. It's not really relevant for us because we're not making a do-yourself video. This is just explaining what it is. Then we have a tricree. What we got here. This is a tricree. This is a tricree. So you have to remember this because you can see this a lot of times coming back on the websites like Ultra Sabers or Vader's Vault. Vader's Vault using tricree LEDs, but they use their own name for it. They call it Sun Crusher, but basically it's just a tricree. Nothing different about it. It's a tricree LED. It's a tricree LED. Tricree is at the moment is the industry standard used by most sabersmiths. Reason for that being is the brightness. It's bright. It doesn't consume that much power. And it's a flexible system. So the Rebel that you just saw had one small light in the middle. You can see it, one small light in the middle. This one has three. So it has three of those light sources. 1, 2, 3. Each of the light source is 3 watts. So like the Rebel, it's a 3-watt Rebel. So it's a 3, 6, 9 watts together. This is 9 watts together. So in this case you see a green, red and blue LED. So this is an RGB LED, red, green, blue. So you can combine all the colors and make any color you want. Often what happens is you will have two of the same color, and then one is white or another color for flash on clash. Flash on clash is this. Let me show it on the when I hit the saber, it will flashes. It will flash white. This saber has a lime green color. It's called Sun Crusher. As I said, Sun Crusher from Vader's Vault, this is a Vader's Vault lightsaber, basically is this Tricree LED. In this case, my lightsaber with lime green has one green LED, one amber LED, and one white LED. When I hit the lightsaber, the flash on clash color is the white LED. The soundboard toggles between the colors, so it will put power to this light, and then that light only shines. And then after the flash on clash color, flash on clash action has finished, the soundboard will change back to the original colors, which is a combination of green and amber. And those those have been powered together for the same power. So we have a 3-watt full power amber and a 3-watt full green power on. That combines for the lime green color for me. And that means my lightsaber on general is working off a 6-watt LED. Okay, so my lightsaber is normally running on 6-watt. 2 LEDs together, 6-watt. Okay, on. And then when it changes, it goes to a 3-watt, to the white. Now, you will think, okay, so the Rebel is 3-watt. In general, the Tricree is 6-watt. You can go a step further. Let's say you don't want flash on clash. You don't care about it. You just want to have the brightest possible option. Then you can have 3 of the same color. You can have 3 times blue, 3 times red, 3 times green, whatever. It makes up for 9-watt then. Then you have 3 times the same color. It's 9-watt. 9-watt of power. That is a difference. So you can have either a 6-watt or 9-watt. Now, as you can see, the Rebel has its light source coming from the middle. The Tricree have the light source coming from the edges of the LED unit. So you see here, it comes from edges. And that's where you have another difference. This Rebel uses this type of lens. It goes right on top of this part here. You put this lens on, a transparent piece. It's like a magnifier glass with an angle within the lens. So this goes on top of it. So I've got one here. It goes on top of it, and then the light shines through this source in the middle, and disperses the sound in the light in a certain angle. So it either angles the light to go in this way, or it concentrates the light to go in this way. And you can imagine where I'm going now with. The Tricree has 3 LED units on each side of the LED unit. So for this one, it's a little bit different. You have a different type of lens. You have actually 3 small lenses that goes on top of the LED unit, like this. So, now, the reason why this is important is, I don't want to go too technical, but the light sources have to come together. You see, it's a triangle in this case. So the light has to be optimized. How does the light optimal go to the point of your blade? How we get that light all the way across here to the point, and then reflect in the mirror and come back down. We want to do that as optimal as possible. So if you have a Tricree setup for 2 LEDs, then the lens has to bring that. Let me see if I can show that. So, whoops, that's the next one. So the light has to come together, right? It has to go in one point. So that's what the lens do. It concentrates the light to go up in one single beam as optimal possible. Now this is the ideal. If you use 3 of the same color LEDs, or you use a mixture of let's say 2 green LEDs on and 1 blue to mix for 1 color, for example, but you want to have no flash on clash, you just want to have all the LEDs on all the time. That means they're all burning. It's 9-watt total, because 3 LEDs of 3-watt each is 9 watt, and then that light is coming together in one concentrated beam. So The most ideal situation would be if they're on all three at the same time, which is not often the case. So often it looks like this. The lens will concentrate the light in an angle that is more optimal for the color mixing, etc. And that's why the lens is important. Now in this case, I don't know exactly if the light will be concentrated in this fashion or if they will be concentrated in this fashion to all the way to the tip of the blade. Either way, you can imagine that it's important that the angle of the lens is correct for the type of LED that you use. So the lens is important. Lens is really important. And then we have one more. Now Saberford advertises that they have 12 watt LEDs, and 12 watt sounds a lot more than 6 watt, which I use on my Vader's Vault Sun Crusher. This is the lime green as I just showed you. It uses 2 LEDs of the 3 LEDs at the same time, so that only gives me 6 watt. But that does not mean it's brighter or less bright than a 12 watt. That does not mean that it's brighter, okay? From my experience, the 12 watt and a 6 watt Tri-Cree are equally bright. No matter the color, I feel they're equally bright. But that's my personal opinion, but I feel there's no difference. Where with the Tri-Cree, I have the added feature that I have a third LED that I can either turn on or use for flash on clash, which I think is a massive benefit in that case. But this case, we have the Tri-Cree. It has 4 LEDs concentrated in the middle, and they're 3 watt each. 3, 6, 9, 12. 3 LEDs each, giving one single color, for example green, blue, whatever. And that's why most of the Saberforce lightsabers do not have flash on clash, because they use a Quad-Cree, which basically use all the same LED colors. For some reason, that type of LED can be used for can be configured for flash on clash, but I believe it's not that easy. And here's my biggest thing with a Quad-Cree LED. This is 12 watt of light shining through at the same time through this LED versus this one. This is 6 watts. So my battery, my Vader's Vault. Havoc. Oh, let's turn off the sound. So now I'm using 6 watts. I'm using 6 watts to power the LED. And you can imagine if I have to power this LED with this Quad-Cree, I have to use 12 watts. I need to use double the power from the battery to provide light to the blade. So I need to use twice as much power for that type of LED. And that is my biggest gripe with Quad-Cree LEDs. First of all, they get a lot hotter than the Tri-Cree. The Tri-Cree does not get hot at all, or sometimes very, very mildly, not even hot, not even warm. It's a big difference. And I noticed that a lot with my Saberforce sabers in the past. When you hold them at the top of the lightsaber, you feel it gets super hot. It gets super, super hot. And that's the reason, because you have 12 LEDs burning at the same time. So it generates a lot more heat, and it generates a lot more energy cost. So you drain your battery a lot faster. You will drain your battery a lot faster. You can imagine it's either the average of 6 watts from a Tri-Cree, or you're using 12 watts, the double the power required for powering this quad-core. And I don't see much difference in brightness, or none. I don't see the brightness difference. I cannot see a substantial justification for a Quad-Cree over a Tri-Cree. We have that. So we have the 4 LEDs using a lot of power, generating a lot of heat, and draining the battery faster. Basically, the LED at that point will drain the battery twice as fast. So from that point, I prefer the tri-cree over a quad-cree because my battery span will be longer, especially if you have a lightsaber like this, which also has sound and whatnot. Your battery life will be longer than when you use an LED with 4 LEDs being active, using up 12 watt at the same time. That is a big difference in consumption. So that is something you need to take care of. You need to think about what is the application you want from that lightsaber. You just want to have the lightsaber play at home a little bit and just turn it on and off a little bit. Then of course a tri-cree can be a quad-cree can be perfectly fine with especially with the Saber Force has this amazing in-hilt recharge port where you basically just plug in your your hilt in the charger and you charge it up again. If you're home, it's fine. If you want to do a lot of dueling, etc., it might be a little bit more desired, or you want to go to a con, that you have a saber that is a little bit more power. No, the power consumption is a little bit less. And for example, in this case, Vader's Vault, which is using a tri-cree. It doesn't have to be a Vader's Vault, it can be any lightsaber that has a tri-cree built into it. It can even be a Saber Force do-yourself custom built lightsaber with a tri-cree. That is totally up to you, but that is a big difference. So you have the different LEDs. So you have your 3 watts, you have your tri-cree, which is basically 9 watts, or you have the quad cree, which is 12 watts. So this is what Saber Force uses. This is what a lot of the quad cree is what a lot of what Saber Forces uses, and most, if not all, other sabersmiths uses a tri-cree, which is a much more accepted and much more friendly LED to use. And then if you wanna spend not too much money, then often what you find with an ultra sabers is that you get a 3 watt LED. That is just a lower end LED, one single LED LED shining through the LED unit and providing light. And it's not per se about who is brightest, in my opinion. It's more who is using the power the best, who is most efficient in using the power, and who gives you different options if you want to. Like if you want to have flash and clash, if you want to have flickering, etc. It depends on your needs, but that gives to show a little bit more about the LED unit. So hopefully that helped you a little bit. There are other types of LED units as well, but they're a little bit more obscure and less used by the sabersmiths out there. There's also a 6 watt LED, and basically that is like this tri-cree, but then you only have 2 LED units, and most of the time they're in the middle, like the Rebel. And that is something that both Saber Forge and Ultra Sabers also provides as an option. One thing to note as well, if you buy for example a Vader's Vault and you don't buy the Sun Crusher upgrade option, you will not get the tri-cree. What you will get is instead you will get a 3 watt LED, and I believe it's a Rebel as well. So you just get a 3 watt LED, a single die unit. That is the non-Sun Crusher option. And that is basically the LED unit, or the LED from a high level. Let's go to the next video.